The People's Business is made possible by our partners, Solar Dynamics, the most efficient energy systems.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The People's Business. I'm your host, Shane Seeley. Always good to be with you at this time on a Sunday evening to have those conversations that you want to hear. And it was so nice we had to do it twice, insurance and you. We had many calls flooding our lines last week, and we expect much of the same this week as we delve into some of the other matters facing many of you and the insurance industry. It's all about making that connection with you, our audience. And that's why we have back with us tonight Randy Graham, the president of the General Insurance Association of Barbados. We also have David Alleyne and Anton, Lovell, directors with the organization. Stick around. This is expected to be a very interesting and robust conversation tonight. So a lot more coming your way on The People's Business right here on CBC TV8. We'll be back in a moment. Back with you on The People's Business. We will start the discussion shortly. Just remember those numbers to call: 228-5562, 228-5563. I know that you may have to wait on the phone line sometimes. Just be patient. And also, when you're calling in to us, please listen to the telephone and not your television set, so that we can have a clear and concise conversation and get those questions, and hopefully we can get some answers for you. Of course, we have Randy Graham, the president of the GIAB, Anton, Lovell, and David Alleyne. They're directors with the association. Good to have you gentlemen back. I know you must have been busy over the past week or so, fielding more questions and just preparing to come back on the show. As I said, we needed to do a part 2 to get the information out to the public. So again, thank you for your time. Randy, I'm going to come straight to you. Let's get into it. Let's talk about some of these insurance premium trends, some of what you've been seeing over the last few years, over the last decade, because I know you went as far back as that last week. Talk to us about some of these historical premium trends from motor. Of course, there's property and marine insurance as well, something that we'll get into tonight.
Thanks, Shane, and good night to you and good night to the viewers. So we're talking about insurance premium trends. I think last week we had a number of questions about the cost of insurance. And look, like I said last week, we understand it. Insurance is an intangible expense. You're paying something today in the form of a premium for a promise to pay if you have damage. And of course, we don't know when that's going to happen. So none of us know when we're going to have the accident on our car. None of us know when there's going to be the hurricane or the earthquake. So it's difficult sometimes to realize insurance as a viable expense unless we actually have the claim. And so we understand it's a touchy topic. It's a sensitive issue, but it is one that's absolutely, we think, necessary if you want to protect your investments. Now, last week we spoke about the premium trends, and on the property side, the reference was made to the historical premium. So what we were saying is that if you had a house insured for $100,000 back in 2008, that may have cost you $600 a year. This year or last year, if you had that same house insured for the same $100,000, that might be $400 or $500. So the premium over the years have come down in insurance. It's a similar situation for the vehicle insurance. So if your vehicle is insured for $2,000 in the first year, you get a 10% discount next year if you don't have accidents, and then another further discount. So you may pay $1,800 next year and $1,600 the following year, to the point where you get your maximum no claim discount. Now, when you get your maximum no claim discount, your premium may be $1,000, and you will say, "I have not had an accident, but my premium does not go down. I get no more discount." Not that you don't get any more discount, is that you are at the maximum discount and you're paying the minimum premium that you can pay for the insurance policy. And that's what you will get at your renewal notice going forward. So it's not that your discount stops, it's that you get to a maximum, and that's the lowest premium that we can charge. So we as a sector are not saying to anyone that you should or should be able to pay for your insurance $100 or $200 a month. What we are saying is that $100 or $200 a month, we think, is a reasonable expense to pay for the protection that if your car gets damaged, we give you a replacement or repair the car. And if your house gets damaged, you get $200,000 to repair your house, sorry. That is we think, a reasonable switch for paying the premium that is charged, which could be $100 or $200 a month.
Okay, so on the property side of things, the problem I guess some people had, and I got a few callers as well questioning those stats, is that a lot of them are saying my house appreciates sometimes annually or biannually. When you get that assessment done, it may have been valued at $100,000 in that first year, but the time by year 5, the value of the property increases, the value of the house itself increases, something that you don't get on the motor insurance side. So then they may be caught up paying a bit more because of the value. So
yeah.
when you were saying that the price came down, what you're paying for that house at the same value came down, I guess that is where some of the question marks were. How do you respond to that?
No, it's a fair assessment. So the way insurance on property is charged, it's a rate per $1,000 of value. So what we are saying is that in 2008, that rate per $1,000 of value on average may have been $6. In 2020, that rate was $4 or $5 per thousand. So the rate per thousand has come down. So if your value remained the same, your premium will remain the same. And not everybody changes their value. David will speak about that later. But not everybody changes the value on their property year on year. So if your property value remained the same, you would have seen a reduction in your premium. If you increase your property value, then yes, your premium would have increased by the dollar amount, but the rate per thousand still had a reduction, and that's the point that we're making. So those persons who did not move their value would have seen a reduction. Those persons who increased their value may have paid more of a dollar amount, but the rate per thousand was still cheaper in Barbados.
Okay, it's good that you can clear that up, Randy. So let me come to you straight away, David. On this property side of things, should Barbadians be satisfied with what they're getting from local insurance providers?
Well, good night, Shane, and thanks for having us again. I just want to make a little comment about what Randy was talking in terms of the motor and what the coverage is. What I think that most people do not really realize is that the insurance policy, if you have a comprehensive policy or a third-party policy, is actually covering liability. And that liability by the Act is $10 million in terms of a person and $30 million for an incident. So it's quite a bit of money that the insurance company has to pay in terms of an incident. And that is covered under the premium that's paid. To go to your question on property, I think that insurers over the years have tried their best to get the best terms and conditions from reinsurers. We have to reinsure. We explained last time that the balance sheet of insurance companies is not large enough to be able to take the accumulation of sums insured that we write. So we have to reinsure. Those reinsurers are global companies, very, very big global companies. In a sense, in a very real sense, we are price takers. We cannot influence the cost of that reinsurance. And that translates into the insurance premium that we then pass on to people. When you have a hurricane or a fire, insurance companies are then able to provide full coverage on those losses, not only because of their balance sheet, but because of balance sheets of companies across the globe.
Sounds like what we are doing as far as imports go, as we're price takers on the imports as well. So then we end up paying whatever is the increase on the local side of things. So that's a conversation for another time. But let me come to you very quickly, Anton, because I know that, and the callers are already there waiting with their questions for you guys. Anton, you have some new information for us in terms of what is pushing up the price on your end as well? Share that information with our viewers.
Hi, good night, Shane. Good night to your viewers. Quickly, just let me clarify or give you some information on what we go through and from the motor side. When the president announced a couple of weeks ago that the price of insurance, the rates are going up marginally, I smiled when people were all alarmed. For example, what we are faced now in recent times. Let's take the garages. We are very concerned right now that the garages, the motor garages, are no longer stocking adequate parts. And when we have to request parts now from them to come into Barbados, the cost goes up 275%. It's really ridiculous. For example, a bumper recently for $775 was not in stock. We asked to get it imported into the island. That price went up to over $2,700 something dollars. So as you see the increase, I don't know if it's the frequency of accidents that causing the garages not to stock the parts, but that is very concerning because on almost on every occasion when estimates are done, parts are not available. And as I said, to import these parts, the price goes up over 275%. And then we look at the two cars getting in accidents, okay, but then there are injury claims to persons, passengers also within the vehicles. And again, new developments. Before you can get a medical report for $750. Now, that same medical report costing now $1,500, $2,500 for medical report. Again, that's interesting. Physiotherapists, we're recognizing the trend now too. Before, initially, when you go for a physiotherapist for a visit or for an assessment, they ask, okay, well, six sessions perhaps can get this person back to their pre-accident condition. Now, we are saying as much as 12 sessions being requested. And the price moved from $90 to $120. So these things we are facing. Another new development is this our MRI. Every person now wants an MRI. If you hurt your finger, you want an MRI. And these MRIs cost in the industry $3,000 and over. You see, so we are bombarded by increased costs, which we cannot sustain no longer. The 15 years, as the president mentioned, that the rates were very stable, but now with all these increasing costs, we really have to pass on a marginal increase to the insurance public.
I guess how you put it, when you hear those increasing costs, you should be thankful that the increase is marginal. I have to ask though, what kind of car was it that the bumper increased from $700 and something dollars to over $2,000?
No, I wouldn't say. We
can't know the brand of the car.
I'll target the garage. No, almost all the garages, not stocking parts, a real concern. When you have to import these parts, the prices go up dramatically. As I said, over 250% on most occasions. And again, we in the insurance industry have to bear these costs.
I have to wait for that answer off air though. Let's go straight to the phone lines. We have our callers waiting already. 228-556, 228-563, the number to call if you want to join us here on The People's Business as we talk about insurance and you. Good night, caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
All right, my question is, if you trade a house insurance for 40 or 50 years, you become old, you're a pensioner, all right, you ain't able to insure that insurance anymore, and it has to lapse. You are working, you have a disability. What would happen to you and all your money gone, those dreadful all those years?
Okay, Randy, I'll give you the opportunity to handle that as you started off on the property side of things.
Yeah, sure, Shane. It's a very unfortunate and difficult circumstance. I mean, I understand the caller's situation there. The last time we've had a major hurricane in Barbados was 1955 with Hurricane Janet. And for someone to be paying insurance for 40, 50 years in Barbados without a hurricane, and then for whatever reason, the circumstances are such that they can't continue to pay the premium, and then there's a hurricane, there's no cover on the property. Now, I would say that the challenge is that we never know when something will occur. We simply do not know when it's going to be a hurricane. We simply do not know when it's going to be an earthquake. Some people go 40 years without making a claim. Some people insure a property or a car one day, but the end of the month, they're making a claim. It's a difficult circumstance. What I would say to the caller is that we do not want anyone who willingly and wants to have insurance on their property in Barbados to go without insurance. And I would encourage that person or any person in similar circumstances to reach out to the insurance company. Let's see if there's a way that we can get a payment scheme in place to keep cover on the property, because it is heartbreaking to have those type of circumstances, and we want to find some way to help to make sure that insurance is kept on the property.
Okay, we have another caller before we go to the first break of the night. Good night, caller. Welcome to the People's Business. What's your question, or do you have a comment?
Good night, Shane, to you on the panel, especially Randy. Randy, is your father still alive? I don't worry him at Shell. I know you from a little boy. Play cricket against you at Sagicor.
Good to hear.
Pardon?
I said that's good to hear. I'm not much of a cricketer anymore, but
I'm the caller that asked last week about the incentive that you get.
Yeah,
when you don't get any accident. Right, but
yeah, that's right.
You can insure a bit. To pay insurance now is about $1,000, right?
Yeah, minimum premium would be somewhere around there.
Right. So suppose now I don't get an accident for 20 years, right? And I got in an accident. When the premium get taken out, I'm going to still have to pay a higher premium on what I pay. That still exists?
Sorry, Shane, can I go? Or?
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, sorry. No, it's not automatic. So you get a no claim discount, which is a discount on your motor premium if you don't have accidents. You're rewarded for your safe driving by getting no claim discounts, right? If you do have an accident, depending on the circumstances of the accident, your discount could be taken away or walked back, and that would increase the premium next year. But not in every accident, in every circumstance is it absolute that if you get involved in an accident, your premium will go up next year. So there's a lot of misconception about this in the public, right? So sometimes people get getting a fender bender, what we call a fender bender, and they want to settle the claim themselves out of their own pocket because they don't want the insurance company involved to carry out the premium. But I would say to persons, that's never the best route to go. Please let the insurance company settle it, because it's not every circumstance that you get involved in an accident that your premium goes up next year. And your premium increase next year may not even be as much, even if it was to be increased, it may not be as much as the cost of the accident. So don't assume that if you drive 20 years and get involved in an accident that next year your premium will go up. That's not the correct assumption, caller. So I do encourage people to keep going to your insurance company and to let them settle the claim. It doesn't mean that you will lose your no claim discount in every circumstance.
Okay, let's take a quick pause here, and we'll come back in a few moments as we talk about insurance, and you're right here on the People's Business. We're talking insurance and you, and of course we want your questions so that we can get some answers, and there's a win-win for everyone involved here on the show. We still have David and Anton with us. David, you were responding to a question from the caller there, hoping that some of the profits could help ease those insurance your clients are paying. What can you, any light at the end of the tunnel for him?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much you heard of what I said before the break. The profit,
you can start over with your response.
Sure. The profits that are related to relative to property insurance in Barbados, in the Caribbean, are not as large as people think. On the property side, the margin that we get between what we um, see to reinsurers, give to reinsurers for their cover, and what we retain for ourselves is very small. What we have to do with that profit, such as it is make sure that we retain enough to be able to pay losses when they occur. Um, our retained earnings go to help us to reduce some of the reinsurance that we buy. Because if we had no profit and no reinsurance, the cost would even be higher because we would have to purchase more reinsurance on the catastrophe excess of loss reinsurance. So it's a very good question, but the reality is that the profit made in property is not as large as you think, and it is needed to be able to continue providing insurance at an affordable level for the people of Barbados and the Caribbean.
Okay, thanks, David. We have Randy back as well, so good to have everyone back on here on the People's Business as the callers.
Shane, can I add to?
Of course, Anton,
Yes,
go
can I
ahead.
add to
Go right
that?
ahead.
On not every occasion, companies make profit. So don't let the callers figure that every year insurance companies make all this profit. Not every year insurance companies make profit. Again, when we had the hurricane, loss, some companies made losses. When accidents increase and the severity increases, again, companies find themselves wanting. So not on every occasion. I want to go back quickly to the lady too with the insurance. It's interesting that when you go and get a mortgage, the finance company, you as compulsory for you to go out there and get insurance, even before you start digging the ground sill. And I find that persons would pay the insurance for the whole period, 25-year mortgage, 30-year mortgage, you'll pay the premium. When you clear off now the mortgage, some people opt not to continue. And I know on not several, but a couple occasions when that occurred, persons actually had losses, and then obviously no insurance, and they had to start from the beginning. And from the beginning now, when you are in your 50s and 60s, and then it's very difficult for you then to rebuild your property. So I just want to add that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a rough situation. It's always good to have that cover, as we would have mentioned last week, so that in the event that something occurs, you have some level of protection and, of course, some way to recoup your investment. Let's go to the marine side of things now. It's something that I had some conversations right here on the People's Business just over 2 weeks ago with local fisher folk. They have been talking about the struggles that they're getting, not only getting financial help from the financial institutions, but then on the insurance side of things. Their story is that the insurance companies are not as willing to insure their investment, and I'm mainly speaking to the boat owners. What can you tell us, Randy?
Yeah, Shane, marine insurance is definitely available in Barbados, right? On both fronts. So first, we insure the cargo. If people are shipping and doing transshipment, that cargo can be insured via insurance. But we also insure the boat, or what we will call the hull. Obviously, there are various types of hull, various types of boats out there in the waters. Some are used for pleasure. Some are used for commercial elements of rental and water sports. Some are used for fishing. I think that the price of marine insurance can vary a lot more than car or house insurance can vary, but the cover itself is definitely available. What we would need as an insurance company, though, to be able to offer the cover to the boat owners would be a proper marine survey to ensure that the vessel is seaworthy, a way to get the vessel valued appropriately, so we know the value of the vessel, and then certification on the captain or who is going to be captaining the vessel. And with those and that type of information, I believe that people can get boat cover in Barbados.
I guess some of the concerns relate to the price, as you would have mentioned there, because there are various prices for different boats. But for the most part, the fisher folk, I know Barnufo has been saying that the price that is being charged for boat owners is pretty high.
Uh, that's possible, Shane. There's a lot more vehicles or property in Barbados being insured than boats in the first place. In the second place, uh, vessels are unlike vehicles. You get your car damaged, a car can, in many cases, still be repaired. You get your house damaged, in many cases, your house can be repaired. Some of the history with boats and vessels are obviously if they're damaged at sea. Some of them have total losses, right? It's difficult to repair, put it back in the seaworthy, or some of them never get to the point where we can structurally put them back into the water. And so some of the claims on vessels end up being complete losses. And therefore, the premium that is charged on a boat is reflective of the fact that damage can mean the vessel, sorry, is completely destroyed or is sunk or cannot be put back in the water and has to be completely replaced. And the premium reflects that. But I think that if the Boat Owners Association wants to come and have a conversation, there must be a way that we can find a middle ground to ensure that the fishery sector in Barbados is appropriately insured because it's an important aspect and important sector to the country. So I wouldn't want to have the conversation to say that it's not possible. I would say let's get together and discuss how we can make it viable for the fishing folk of the country.
I remember Dr. Shellyan Cox, the Chief Fisheries Officer, saying at a recent forum, a financial forum to help boat owners and fisher folk in general see how they can get funding for the business and general cover and protection. She would have mentioned every roundabout you go to every day, you see an accident there, but you don't really see boats getting into accidents. And I'm figuring, I know that there are a lot of risks at sea. Anton, I see you chomping at the bit there. What is your response to that?
No, the president is correct. They have, see, insurance works on the law of large numbers. So you have thousands of cars on the road, and they put the premiums into the pool. They have very few boats being insured, and as the president mentioned, the risk is also high. So people figure, it is unreasonable to charge what we figure is a reasonable premium. And what is a reasonable premium is based on the risks that we insure. So I again, as the president said, we are open to having discussions with the boat owners to see what we can do. But it's our aim to keep premiums adequate in Barbados, and that's our role. Because
I
we
think
like
that
everybody insured.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy to hear that for sure. Let's take a quick break here. When we return, we'll look at what's coming up in a matter of months, which is the Atlantic hurricane season. And of course, there's still a concern about the number or the level of home insurance cover here in Barbados. It is in the low percentages. That needs to be addressed so that Barbadians have that level of protection. We'll deal with that after this commercial break. It's all about insurance, and you part two tonight on The People's Business, and we're going to get into that conversation about the Atlantic hurricane season and what homeowners need to do across the board to make sure that they're covered. But let's go back to the phone line very quickly before we get that one going. Good night, caller. Welcome to The People's Business. Do you have a question or a comment for our panel?
Yes, I have a query to make, please. I'm a pensioner. I've been insured for 76 years. I'm not going to call the company's name. I've been insured for over 40 years. This company never made a claim. My house is in disrepair now, and I want to find out if the company, if the insurance company, can do the repairs and increase my premium as a means of paying back, or something. I don't know how to phrase this properly, but I need help, and I haven't got the wherewithal to do it. Is the insurance company in any way can they help?
Thank you, caller, for your question. Randy?
Yeah, again, a very unfortunate circumstance there, Shane. So I answer it in two ways. In the first place, your insurance policy in itself will respond if there's damage from fire, hurricane, theft, malicious damage. It will respond in circumstances when there's an issue that damages the property, and then the policy in itself will respond. Now, so in short, normal wear and tear is not a cover under the particular policy. However, many of the insurance companies in Barbados, the caller was specific not to call the insurance company's name, but many of the insurance companies in Barbados do a lot for the community in various ways. And I'm certain that if the caller did reach out to his company, it's something that could be discussed as to how the company could possibly partner with that person or someone else to help them get in a better position. So the policy itself is not set up to deal with the circumstance, but insurance companies in Barbados has been helping the community for many years, and I'm certain that there's some way that his company could help him if you could reach out.
We have another caller there on the phone line. Good night, caller. Welcome to the People's Business. What's your question or comment?
Good night.
Good night.
I've got two questions. I want to know for the listening public, what's the difference between comprehensive insurance and third party, and also what's the difference when you're in an accident and you got to pay, I think, a down payment, I think $1,000 or $1,200 before you get your car fixed. Could you elaborate on that, please? Thanks.
I'll let Anton deal with that one.
Okay, thanks, Shane. Yes, persons opt for the two most popular policies in Barbados, comprehensive and third party. The comprehensive policy covers not only the accidents that the insurance caused to other parties, which we consider third parties, and the third parties then, if you cause the accident, your policy will compensate the third parties, whatever property damage caused or the injuries caused. In addition to that, they will also cover your vehicle once you insure comprehensively. On the other hand, now the third-party policy, if you have a third-party policy, that policy provides cover only against damages caused to the third party or any injuries. So your vehicle, unfortunately, would not be covered under a third-party policy. In event of a claim being made under your comprehensive policy, you have what we call an excess, whether it's $750, $1,000 or so. An excess has to be paid prior to your vehicle being repaired, or the cost of repairs to your vehicle. Or if it's being to a loss, that excess will be deducted from the policy, from the policy claim. That's the difference between the two.
Thank you so much, Anton. Let's go back again to the phone lines. The calls are coming in very quickly. Good night, caller. Welcome to the People's Business. Share your comment or you can ask a question.
Hello, good night.
Hi, good night. Welcome.
I tried insuring two wooden wall houses, and they told me I cannot get a comprehensive. They can only for fire and not for hurricane. Is that fair?
Thank you, caller. David?
Yeah. Traditionally, insurance companies look at. Caller is still there. Traditionally, insurance companies will look at the risk that they're insuring. Now, I don't know if it's a facet of fair or unfair, but it's a risk assessment that the insurance company has made. Obviously, in this case, in their view, the house would not seem to be in a condition that they would be prepared to offer cover for hurricane. Now, I'm not saying that this is across the entire industry. It depends on the circumstance, it depends on the standard of construction, the protection that the house offers against being damaged easily. And so it would not be something which is standard across the industry. It is something which would be specific to the particulars of your own home. But what I would say is that you should ask the insurance company, what can you do? What can you do to allow them to insure it for you against hurricane? There are ways and means of securing the home. If it needs hurricane straps, you can put hurricane straps on it. If the part that is wooden is not secure to the foundations, you can look and see if that can be done. But once the house is secure, there is no reason for insurance to be denied.
And it sounds like a lot of these circumstances, it's a simple conversation that has to be had for things to be done, for a deal to be signed, which is good for the insurance company and also good for the policy holder, right, Randy?
No, absolutely, Shane. I mean, look, insurance gets a lot of adjectives for the way it runs, and that is because 90% of the people who buy insurance are unlikely to have a claim in any 1 year. And we understand that is the case. But when you do have a claim, the value of insurance is unquestioned. It's unquestioned because it's the best way to repair or replace. So the sector is not set up for any other reason than helping the public of Barbados protect itself against its assets. And so we are always looking for ways to help the people of Barbados. So if you have a situation where you have an investment that needs protecting, a conversation with the insurance company goes a long way in finding a way that we can protect that asset.
Okay, let's go back to the phone line yet again. We have another caller there. Good night, caller. Welcome to the People's Business as we talk insurance and you. What's your question or comment? Good night, caller.
Hello?
Hi, good night. Welcome to the People's Business. Do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, this is the person that spoke just now about 2 houses that I try to insure. I did get
Right, good to have you back on.
I got them insured, but only for fire. But it is, just as the gentleman said, that I probably will have to get them the hurricane straps. And I had all those done, both down to the foundation, all that. But nobody never come and inspect. Nobody never come and inspect. They just take my word from it and tell me they can't give me the coverage for hurricane.
Interesting. So that now sounds like thank you very much, caller.
Thank you.
So in this case, it sounds like there was a conversation, but there wasn't a follow-up. And I mean, at the end of the day, we can't vouch for either party. It's one story, one side of a story. But what can be done? What should the policyholder do in that case where he feels like not enough has been done to hear his side of the story and address his claim?
Yeah, Shane, what I would add is what he needs to do perhaps is to get an assessment done on the property, a report, and take that report into, and again, it got over 12 companies in Barbados. So take that report with some pictures to one of the insurance companies, and there'll be a possibility that he will be insured. He'll be insured.
Who will do this assessment? Who does he go to get the assessment? I'm figuring it's an independent assessment. Who does he go to get that done?
Right. They have some valuers in the market. They have some loss adjusters in the market as well that he can go to. Some risk managers in the market that he can go to. So again, perhaps you can take his number and we will give him a call and give him some numbers to call so that he can get his property surveyed and a report done. And as I said, and take it to the insurance company. And once it's fit to be insured, I don't see a reason why not. It can be extended.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the phone line and see if we have another caller there. Good night. Welcome to the People's Business. Do you have a question or comment?
Hello, good night.
Hi, good night. We can hear you. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Sometimes we find ourselves in some really unfortunate positions Here's a case: vehicle insured, comprehensive. You got into an accident. You are in the clear. The person does not accept liability, and because of that, the company says to you that for you to have your vehicle repaired, you have to pay $1,000 up front. To have and if the estimate comes in for more than that, they will cover you for the rest. But I'm saying to you that it's a very unfortunate situation when persons know that they are wrong and they don't accept liability, and then you have to shell out some thousands of dollars to have your own vehicle repaired, even though you are insured comprehensive. I want to hear your say on that. Okay.
I can go to that one, Shane.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
I know you like those ones, Anton.
Yeah, no, because again, every day in these accidents, somehow the two persons involved, one or the other perhaps don't disclose the facts in the matter, and all end up in dispute. So that is the problem that the caller faces, where perhaps he's saying he's in the clear, but then the other driver too is saying that he's also in the clear as well. So where do we go? And yes, sometimes we revisit the scenes, sometimes we apply for a police report, but again, the outcome again takes time. Unfortunately, he has a comprehensive policy. So yes, paying the excess, he can get his vehicle repaired. But again, it's just the contract. The contract states that if you're going to make a claim on the policy, not if you're right or wrong, if you're going to make a claim on the policy, you have to pay that first amount, which is the excess. But unfortunately, a number of the accidents remain in dispute, and we apply for police report, and sometimes that takes forever to come. So again, that's really unfortunate, but everybody seems to be in the right in every accident.
Okay, so another question that has come in from online, and here it goes. Why, if you do indeed have comprehensive insurance, why do you need to pay that excess?
Right, that's the contract. That's inside the insurance contract. That if you're going to make a claim under your policy, so again, we're not talking liability now if you're right or wrong. If you have to make a claim under your policy, you are expected under the contract to pay the first $1,000, $750, or whatever the amount is.
I believe, Shane, in that case, is the person implying that they are not at fault, and that is what the gross is. Because as Anton is saying, if you're claiming under your own policy, there's an excess. I guess that the gross with people is that they are not, in their opinion, wrong, and therefore they should not have to pay anything. But that only applies if the other party has accepted liability. If they don't, and you are claiming under your own policy, as Anton said, the contract provides for a first payment, which is excess.
Okay, and I guess we do have to encourage our policyholders to read that fine print, read the contract, see what's in there, and just see what you can negotiate. If you have a problem with it, it's always great to have a conversation. We have to take one final break. We have about 10 minutes more to spend with you here on The People's Business as we talk about insurance, and you will field a few more questions, and then we'll try to get into what is coming up in a few months, the Atlantic hurricane season, and how you can be better protected. We have a few more minutes to spend with you right here on The People's Business. Spending this hour with us, we had our friends from the General Insurance Association of Barbados, the President, Randy Graham, and Directors, David, Alleyne, and Anton Lovell. Some more questions coming in online as well. We're fielding questions from WhatsApp, wherever the sources are. On that situation, who's right and wrong in these accidents, and then, of course, that excess comes into play. Now, there are situations, there is a situation. We heard the Attorney General recently, I did this story. He spoke about the fact that soon from now that law enforcement officials, the police force, the Barbados Police Service will not be responding to all the minor fender benders on the roads of Barbados. Their resources need to be better utilized elsewhere. It's something that I see happen in the UK, you know, where you just report the accident to the insurance. What happens then? Because Anton, you mentioned, you know, sometimes people blame the insurance company for seemingly dragging its feet. But then you mentioned the police there, and the police report takes some time to come. In the interim, you know, I mean, the policyholder is left, you know, with their hands up in the air asking, what do I do, especially if the cost is pretty high?
Yeah. Well, as I said, the best cover for you is comprehensive, where if the other person, in fact, don't even let us go there. I want to implore on persons to drive defensively. Give it their rights and try to avoid all accidents. Because in Barbados now, you have quite a number of people who don't even have insurance at all. So question is not right or wrong, is who are you going to recover against if the person do not have insurance? So again, and not only not insurance, you have another persons who drive in without also no license. Another problem that we're having, you see. So try as best as possible to avoid accidents, because as stated, you get involved in an accident, your insurance company can go after the person who is in the wrong, who was negligent. So then, as I said, you have to then pay your deductible, your excess. But again, we, the insurance company, will pay whatever it costs to repair your vehicle, or even if it's a total loss. That's the benefits then of having your vehicle insured comprehensively. If you insure third party now, well, then you are really in difficulty, because you have nobody to go against. And that's why we are very, very supportive of this EVR, electronic vehicle registration, that's coming on stream, that we could weed out some of these uninsured motorists that are causing havoc on our roads.
Thank you so much there, Anton. Randy, I want to come to you with this one. Another question coming in on WhatsApp. A person wants to find out if it's not discriminatory for insurance companies to refuse to provide life insurance for someone who is deemed obese.
Yeah, discriminatory is a strong word here. I think that like for medical insurance, in their own assessment of who they insure or how they offer that insurance, looks at various aspects of mortality and morbidity. There are certain trends, predisposed and otherwise, that predispose us to health issues, and the health issues are evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Some insurance companies and some doctors will give guidance on what the future may hold for that person based on their own circumstances, and some issues say that's going to be health challenges and something that we have to consider. So I don't think I think discriminatory is a very strong word. I think is companies and individuals presenting a case and evaluating the situation as best. One company may say to that person, we cannot offer you life insurance company. Another company may, and another doctor may say, the fact that you're obese has no bearing on your longevity of life, and offer that person life insurance. So it's really down to the company and the individual being assessed. I don't think that the word of discrimination, I think that's a little too strong for the decision.
So I guess the advice there to that person would be to shop around as far as the insurance goes.
Indeed. Same with what David was saying earlier, Anton, the number of different companies in the market. Best that you shop around and present your circumstances and then evaluate the decisions that you get.
Okay, let's quickly delve into this home insurance and the Atlantic hurricane season. You shouldn't wait to an event or the season comes around to want to get home insurance cover. And I know the volcano in St. Vincent definitely showed us that last year. But David, talk to us about, I know you mentioned last week, the percentage of people uninsured as far as home insurance, property insurance goes is very, very low, in the lower percentiles. Talk to us about what you would like to see going forward in 2023 on the home insurance, property insurance side of things.
Sure, Shane. You're right. Our what's called insurance penetration, which is the amount of assets that are covered in terms of value and the number of people, is low in Barbados compared to the developed world. What it means is that if a catastrophe comes, hurricane, earthquake, volcanic eruption, tsunami, we face 4 perils in this region. If one of those visits, our assets are going to be under threat, or people may not have the wherewithal to reinstate it themselves, and therefore they need to transfer that risk to an insurance company that can help. Government is not going to be able to help everybody. We see that and saw that with Elsa. There's still people who are still struggling because of the damages from Elsa. So with June the 1st, which is the onset of the hurricane season, people should look to protect their asset. It's the largest thing that most people will invest in their lives. Now, there are 2 things that I really want to bring to the attention of the public that they have to be knowledgeable about. One is underinsurance. If you are underinsured, in other words, you've not insured the house or the property for its full value, then your claim will be reduced. By the same proportion, you're underinsured. That's one. And the second is that if in the event of a catastrophe, and we saw this with the ashfall, we saw it with Elsa, there is a deductible which applies. Deductible operates similarly to a motor excess. It's the first portion that an insured has to pay in the event of a loss. And that deductible is 2% of the sum insured. So people have to be aware. I would suggest that most people have a conversation with the insurance company and understand the significance of the effect of those 2 terms as we go into hurricane season.
I really want to thank all of you for sharing with us tonight.
Yeah.
Anton, listen, we can go and get part 3. But very quickly, you got 30 seconds. I'll give you that.
No,
30 seconds.
I just want to add that what David is saying, the beauty about our policies too, it's not only hurricane, it's against fire, against flood, earthquake, volcanic eruption, burglary, impact damage, and the list goes on. Our policies that we issue in Barbados are comprehensive in nature. So why not take advantage of them? Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, David. Thank you, Anton. It's always a pleasure having you on. So many questions, so many answers, and still so many more questions we do expect that there will be in the public domain. There will be a part 3, maybe not immediately, but we are sure that we'll have you back on. Our friends from the General Insurance Association of Barbados. The president is Randy Graham, David Alleyne, and Anton Lovell, our directors. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And thank you, callers and viewers, for your comments and questions tonight. I'm Shane Seeley. That has been this edition of The People's Business on Insurance and You. Please do enjoy the remainder of your weekend.